Hey, this is Mike Evans. Listen to every episode of Schlereth and Evans on demand at 1043thefan.com. Presented by Siltahara Motors, the home of the zero down with Chapter 7 and 13 bankruptcies. Regardless of your financial standing, no one should be without a vehicle. Visit the special financing section at sthmotors.com.
It's a Reaction Monday, powered by Superbook Sports. Here's Schlereth and Evans on Denver Sports Station, 1043 The Fan.
All right, welcome to it. Now, come on now. It's not all gloom and doom. The Broncos are still 3-1.
Mike, I really don't care.
Yeah, that does seem to be the overwhelming reaction, right? Mark Schlereth, even with a 3-1 record, there was just so much put into this game. The idea that, okay, yes, your first 3 wins came against teams that were winless. But hey, here comes a Baltimore team, even with some of the issues at Baltimore, 23rd in total defense, allowing almost 400 yards of offense per game, 28 points allowed per game. This is your chance to open up the eyes of the national football world, the local football. This is a chance to really earn credibility. And they fell flat on their face. And they're going to have to take it this week, right? I mean, they just got to accept the fact that people are going to be saying, I told you so.
Sure.
You are who we thought you were all along.
And here's the deal, Mike. Inside the facility, it doesn't matter what I think or what you think or what the national media thinks. What matters is what you think inside that facility. And to me, you look at them averaging, 6 point something yards a carry? I mean, let me go back to the numbers really, really quick here. So Gordon, 9 carries for 56 yards, 6.2 yards per carry. Williams, 7 carries for 48 yards, 6.9 yards per carry. Okay? And I look at that, and I think to myself, now, wait a minute. Drew Lock had 21 attempts, and Teddy Bridgewater had 16 attempts. That, the last time I checked, was 37 attempts versus 16 rush attempts when you're averaging over 6, almost 7 yards a carry? And for the life of me, I will never understand, ever, the inability to recognize what truly wins and how easy. I was talking to Alex Mack before kickoff yesterday. He's been an all-pro center forever, 13 years in the league. And just talking about...
because you did Seattle, San Francisco.
He's with San Francisco
okay.
now. And just talking about how good it is to play for a coach who understands, the importance and the value of the run game. And here's the other deal. If you look at San Francisco from a personnel standpoint, and I know they lost yesterday, but they don't have a bunch of dudes that you just match up on the outside and say, hey man, go win every route combination. We're going to find a way to get you one-on-one, go win every route combination. Tim Patrick's a really good receiver. He's really blossomed into a very good receiver. Is he a guy that you think you can just lock up with a top corner every possession and win? He's not Devontae Adams. I don't think Cortland Sutton is that guy either. And so what do you have to do? You've got to create your explosive pass plays through your play action, through setup, and through design. And you bring a backup quarterback in and you run the ball, 4 times in the second half? And you're averaging 7 yards a carry, 6.5 yards a carry? And Mike, I'll never understand how you get down by 7 points. It is coordinators in this league that can't wait to stop running the ball. They cannot wait to give up on it. They can't. That you're down 17-7, and I get it. It's a 2-score game. You know what happens if you score? It becomes a 1-score game, right? And I'll never understand it. You had the second half where they ran at one time for almost 6 yards and they threw 7 straight balls in a row? I will never understand that philosophical approach to the game. Ever.
Drew Lock comes in to start the second half. After a 3-and-out by Baltimore, you're down 17-7, loads of time left. You run Melvin Gordon for 5 yards, 2nd and 5, all right. Hey, let's keep running the ball. Let's instead you drop Lock back to pass, he gets sacked. Then you got a 3rd and 10, completes the pass to Fant for 11. Okay, hey, we rescued that, okay? It's 1st and 10 now at our 33.
Right.
Let's go back, nope, pass, incomplete. All right, let's throw it again. Alberto, 11 yards. Okay, now we're 1st and 10 at the 44. All right, hey, let's start mixing in the run again. Nope, drop Lock back. He gets sacked, 8-yard loss. Now you're 2nd and 18, and the drive is over after 2 more passes.
We were actually trying to throw incompletions.
You got a guy in Drew Lock who you thought so little of that he lost the job. He finds out just a couple minutes before the end of the halftime that he's going to be going in. And your plan in a 17-7 game is to run once and then have 7 straight pass plays. And after 2 series, and it's still 17-7, the play breakdown is 2 runs and 11 passes through the first 2 series in the second half. And again, I am not here to defend Drew Lock. He still looks like Drew Lock that we've unfortunately watched for all of last season and at times during the preseason. But the dude has done no favors by Pat Shurmur. None. I don't get it. These two just are not on the same page.
Here's the other
thing. At times, honest to God, at times, I feel like Pat Shurmur wants Drew Lock to fail. I know that's not the case, but the almost negligence in his play calling with Drew Lock is mind-numbing to me.
Well, here's the other point, Mike, is you're talking about 2 young, 1 rookie, 1 second-year guy that really didn't play very much at all in his first year. Like, you're talking about 2/5 of your offensive line being different and being young players that really have never played much. On top of that, I just understand how much more difficult it is to drop back and throw the football, especially with a team. Like, think about this from a quarterback standpoint. You got a team that you know is going to bring heat, and you got a guy at quarterback that you know has one of the struggles and one of the things he has had to learn and be better at is understanding protections, where he's protected, where he isn't protected. And so you've got the trifecta of rookie offensive line, 2/5 of them changed, quarterback that doesn't understand protection fully, 100%, and a team that's going to bring pressure. I mean, you do the math. And we're going to throw it 11 times to start the second half versus 2 runs when we're averaging almost 7 yards a carry. Like, you do the math on that.
Okay, a lot of reaction pouring in. It's a Bronco Reaction Monday. We'll get to those texts, those hot takes. A lot of people upset with the coaching staff. Is it all on the coaches? We'll get to that next. Denver Sports Station 104.3 The Fan.
Hey, it's Mike Evans. Siltahar Motors is the home of Zero Down. Regardless of your credit or financial situation, Siltahar Motors will help you get behind the wheel. People with poor credit or in bankruptcy can qualify for Zero Down and no payments for 45 days and be driving in their new car within hours of stopping by the dealership. Check out any of the cars Siltahar Motors currently has on site at sthmotors.com. Siltahar Motors is conveniently located at Highway 36 in Wadsworth, so regardless of your financial situation, Siltahar Motors will get you the car you deserve at sthmotors.com. All
right, let's get to some reaction from you on this Bronco Overreaction Monday. From Brandon in Washington, what was disappointing wasn't the loss. That's not the most disappointing thing. The coaching was. Once again, the inability to manage time showed up again at the end of the first half. Once again, Pat Shurmur showed his unwillingness to adjust to the personnel he has available or what the other team is doing. Our special teams is still awful. It makes me wonder who Tom McMahon has pictures of. I can handle losing, especially in a game where we are decimated by injury and to a team nobody thought we would beat anyway. It's just disappointing to see this coaching staff is still the same. How much you put of this on the coaching staff?
Well, I think you put a lot. I mean, I think, again, one, you're down to a bunch of not just backups. I mean, think about KJ Hamler is, depending on if you're in, he's your third receiver. So you're down your number one receiver, Jerry Jeudy, first round draft choice. You've got an injured, or not an injured, but a guy coming back from injury in Cortland Sutton. Let's face it, Tim Patrick was your fourth receiver who's become your kind of number two guy. And Hinton wasn't supposed to play. And you're using your returner as what? Your returner is now your third receiver. I mean, you've got two backup guards in. You're running the snot out of the ball, and what do? Throw it 37 times against the Ravens team. And here's what you have to understand about people and teams that want to bring pressure, Mike. You have got, when you get a pressure team, you have got to be so patient and so committed to running the ball. Because you know what happens when you bring pressure? Eventually, somebody gets routed out of their pressure lane. Somebody gets moved 2 feet to the right or 2 feet to the left of the gap they're supposed to be in. And that 3-yard gain that you've been consistently getting, or that 4-yard gain that you've been consistently getting, or that 6-yard, in this case, gain that you've been consistently getting, is a 56-yard TD. I'll tell you, back in my day, who used to try to do that to us all the time? The Raiders. Go look at those box scores. Go look at what we ended up doing to the Raiders. I guarantee you we averaged over 150 yards rushing every single game, or right about 150 yards rushing. And I guarantee you know what it was, Mike? 1 yard, 3 yards, 4 yards, 2 yards, 2 yards, 4 yards, 64 yards. Touchdown. 1 yard, 3 yards, 5 yards, 6 yards, 6 yards, 48 yards. That's how they used to go. Because when you try to bring pressure, eventually somebody overruns it. Somebody, you get a cutback lane. And you know what happens? There's no middle third defender. They're all up on the line of scrimmage. And there's there's no last line of defense to stop that, make it a 12-yard explosive. It's a 30-yard touchdown or a 50-yard touchdown. And if you're averaging 6.5 yards a carry, I don't care if you're down by 10 points. When you have that kind of average going, big plays are out there to be had if you stay committed.
You've said this all summer long and throughout the first part of the season, your conversations with different offensive play callers and head coaches and offensive coordinators, and your takeaway is so many of these play callers in the NFL can't wait for the NFL game, the running game to fail. So they can just throw up their hands and go, oh, well, I tried. And think about it. We gave Pat Shurmur praise through these first 3 weeks for the amount of balance that they had on offense. But here's the thing. They were playing with the lead. And it was easy to stay with the running game because you were playing with the lead.
It's a good call. It's a really good point.
The moment you found yourself trailing, can't run the ball. We tried. What are you going to do? And we go back to
what we
did all last year.
When you played with the lead, you stayed committed to run the ball even though you're averaging 3 yards a carry. You played from behind. You quit on the running game even though you're averaging 6.5 yards a carry. Do you know how hard it is to average 6.5 yards a carry in the NFL? I mean, Mike, 6.5 yards a carry. You know what that means, right? anytime you flag the ball out there, those linebackers have got to react. That means that space between linebackers and safety, that's juicy. Let's go get in the T-bone right there. Let's go to the steakhouse. That's not order and sizzle. That's a full plate of steak right there. And when you run the ball like that, you've got to take advantage of that area of the football field. And guess what? When you just say, you know what? Forget about it.
Okay, so we're definitely putting a ton on Pat Shermer's plate for this one. What about the defense? What about Vic Fangio, defensive genius? No team in the NFL has more allocated to the defense than the NFL. A secondary that everybody was gushing over. And what you actually did was you did shut down their running game.
Mm-hmm.
You put the ball in the hands of Lamar Jackson, say, go ahead, beat us. You've only had one 300-yard passing game in your career. We don't think you can beat us, especially with your group of unheralded wide receivers. Not against our secondary. And yet that Baltimore passing game turned them inside out.
Right.
How? Why?
He was high.
Well, no, that wasn't the case. The case was Lamar. I mean, for a lot of it, it was Lamar extending plays, you being in man coverage, the rush and the coverage not working in unison. So you're getting there, you're pressuring, but you're not getting Lamar down. He is extending the play, and then you're losing that back end. You know, it's what Justin Simmons said, and, you know, I'll credit him. Hey, it's not the first 3 seconds, it's the next 6 seconds. You know what they didn't do they didn't win the next 6 seconds. They may have won the first 3, but they didn't win the next 6. And, you know, it's funny, I had this conversation with Jimmy Ward of the 49ers, talking about Russell Wilson and that next 6-second aspect to the play. And he's like, listen, when things break down after that 3 seconds, and so did DeMeco Ryans, the defense coordinator of San Francisco, he said, whoever is close to you, grab him, and it becomes man-to-man. Doesn't matter anymore. Doesn't matter what the call was. Doesn't matter if we're in quarters or in quarter half, or if we're in thirds. Or once you hit a certain time in your head, a clock, now it's man. Whoever's in your zone, matchup zone, take him, it's man. And that part was a failure.
Coming up, 4 Down Territory, we'll go around some of the key games in the NFL, including what we saw from the Steelers. And should we be feeling good about the Broncos' chances even after a loss like this? Heading out to Steeltown. That's coming up next. Denver Sports Station, 104.3 The Fan.
Are you ready for some football?
This is 4 Down Territory.
Words cannot say how much I truly love you.
Donkey Kong Sue.
Double team, leaping high, falling hard.
Yo soy fiesta.
On Denver Sports Station, 104.3 The Fan. First down.
We're on to the next game, okay? Can't have a hangover from this game and just get our focus back starting tomorrow on Pittsburgh.
Hey, look, I was somebody, and I still do not diminish or belittle or demean the 3 wins to start the season, but come on. We are all in agreement that in order for us to be able to take this team seriously as a contender, at some point they're going to have to go out and have a signature win. And this was their first opportunity to do it, and they fell flat on their face. So is it as simple as this, Mark, that until they go out and win a game that sort of gets everybody's attention, doesn't matter that they're 3-1. Yeah, when it comes to looking at this team as being one that can actually contend.
Right. I mean, if you played a game of contender or pretender right now, even at 3-1, you'd say pretender.
That's fair.
And that's the reality of the situation. It's unfortunate, but it's the reality of the situation, Mike. And I look at the first quarter and a half of that game, and you know you got to play 4 quarters. I get all that. I understand all that. But you look at the first quarter and a half, the Broncos are in that they're doing a great job. They are doing a great job. I mean, There is no reason that should have unraveled the way it unraveled. And again, I mean, understand your personnel. Understand what you're at. You got 2 tight ends. I mean, it's not like you get into heavy formations and block with those 2 guys because neither of those guys are capable. So, you know, and you got 2 rookie offensive linemen. You're missing your top speed guy, your top route running guy. Yeah. I mean, you're down to your 4th receiver going into the season. Your 4th wide receiver is starting, and he's your big-time playmaker.
For the second half of yesterday's game, technically the Broncos were playing without 8 starters.
Yeah.
So, not an excuse, just pointing that out. Next in 4-down territory.
Second down.
And Mahomes is throwing it up. He's got Tyreek Hill open and hauls it in. Touchdown! Kansas City!
Oh, boy. Oh, no, Mike.
Patrick Mahomes, 5 touchdown passes. Tyreek Hill, 11 catches, 186 yards, and 3 touchdowns. But.
Oh, there's a but.
There is a but.
There's a yeah but?
There's always going to be a but.
Chiefs gave up 30. This defense still can't stop anybody.
Well, we've got the remedy here for that. We'll find a way. We'll find a way to hang 12 on them.
Yeah. Defense feeling kind of down.
Yeah.
Schedule the Broncos.
Yeah.
Now, that's true. I'm watching the Ravens play yesterday. I'm like, wait a minute, hold on a second. You're telling me this is a defense that came in, ranked 23rd in the NFL, giving up 400 yards per game and 28 points per game?
Yeah. We'll get healthy.
Because that didn't look like them yesterday. Next in 4-down territory.
3rd down.
Roethlisberger fires on his side. Intercepted by the rookie, Eric Stokes, on the interception.
Hey, look, I would love to come out right now and say Big Ben is done. Big Ben is washed. But when the Broncos go in there next week, I don't want to be that. I don't want to make that definitive statement because after what I watched yesterday from the Broncos, who knows? Maybe Big Ben finds it again next week. I don't know, but boy, right now he looks done. Done.
He does look old, doesn't he?
By the way, I did not like the goo-goo eyes that Aaron Rodgers and Mike Tomlin were making at each other yesterday.
Oh, I like that.
Steelers, stay away from my man.
Yeah, you know what?
Don't be getting any ideas.
Do you think Aaron Rodgers was flirting with the Pittsburgh Steelers?
During the week, he was saying some really nice things about Mike Tomlin.
We're going to have to keep an eye on this, Mike.
We are.
This is not...
That would not make me happy.
You know, and Aaron Rodgers... Yes. I mean, you know, he has gone from Olivia Munn or whatever her name was to Danica Patrick to now he's got this, you know, crunchy girl.
Aaron, Pittsburgh is not a man bun type of town. Denver is.
No.
We embrace the man buns here.
Right.
Come here where man buns are appreciated.
Yeah.
Man buns and neckbeards wear well in Denver, Colorado.
Right.
Pittsburgh, you got to be a little bit more gristle.
Right. Here you get...
Cut your hair.
Here you can go to any breakfast restaurant. You can get plain yogurt with some granola on it. They go, oh, sure. We're like, yeah, you can have that. You go to Pittsburgh and order that, and they're like, what?
What?
You want a Yinza beer?
What?
Right, they'll just give you a Yinzer.
You're going to have a plate of haggis and like it.
Yeah. So, I don't like the flirtation. That was open flirtation.
Yeah, I did not like that at all.
I'm with you.
Leave my man alone.
That's right.
Get away from my man. Stop trying to entice my man.
I wish I knew how to quit you.
Next in 4-down territory.
Fourth down.
It's been a great stadium for me for a long time, so I don't know what the future holds. Obviously, there could be an opportunity to come back here, so we'll see. I feel like I'll always be a part of this community, and I'll be up here quite a bit when it's all said and done. When I retire, I'm sure there'll be a lot of time.
Tommy didn't look that great. Patriots had a great game plan for him.
There could be an opportunity to come back here, so.
And Tampa escaped with a 19-17 win. I'm always thinking about how it relates back to the Broncos. And I'm watching Mac Jones play.
Mm-hmm.
And here's what I noticed. In a game in the driving rain, biggest game of the regular season thus far, national television, Tommy's back in there. There's all kinds of electricity. He's got no running game to speak of. And yet, Josh McDaniels is just dialing up play after play after play, all within about 7 yards of the line of scrimmage, in which guys are open.
Yeah.
Guys are open. He's just complete. At one point, he completed like 20 straight passes. None of them were way down the field. It was textbook in the idea of how to take a young quarterback and put him in a position to succeed without having to ask him to do too much. And I'm watching the plays that Josh McDaniels, I know his name is Mud around here, but give credit where credit is due. I'm watching him dial up play after play after play, and I'm thinking, why can't they run plays like that here? High percentage throws, allowing a quarterback to get in rhythm, and doing all that.
You're actually trying to throw incompletions.
In a driving rainstorm with no help from a running game.
Right. Well,
and yet they were still in that game right to the end.
I think this is so New England too. We're not even going to try to run it against Tampa because they're so good up front that way. We're just going to throw it underneath. We're going to, and I hate this, they use it as an extension of the running game, but that's New England to a T. But you know what you have to have? You have to have a quarterback, and they've got a young one, with the capacity to understand what we're doing, to change completely your game plan, saying, hey, we're not going to support you with a running game. This is what we're going to do. And I will say this about Mac Jones. Insatiable appetite to understand, to learn, and an unbelievable capacity to put everything on him and have him understand it completely over the course of a week. Josh McDaniels says it is unreal how much you can put on this kid's plate and how much he can digest and understand it all.
Fine, but they still have a whole arsenal of plays that they run within 6 yards of the line of scrimmage.
Sure.
The guys are open.
Understood.
And those two teams put on a screen clinic yesterday, too. Well, that's the other thing. Maybe Pat Shurmur should sit down today and just watch that game and go, so that's how you devise screens. Interesting. All right, that'll do it for Four Down Territory. Troy on the NFL. Bring that to you each and every morning at 7:30. Troy Rank, our Denver 7 insider, joins us to give us a timetable on how Teddy Bridgewater can get back and play this week. That's next. Denver Sports Station 104.3 The Fan. Troy Rank is our Denver 7 insider. He is presented by ROX Rocks Heating and Air. Joins us now. Morning, Troy.
Morning, guys. How are you?
We're doing good, Troy. Hey, take us through what the protocol is for Teddy Bridgewater. Will we be able to see him lining up under center in Pittsburgh?
Yeah, it's going to be a race. You have to be cleared by an independent physician who does do stuff in the facility. And eventually, if you're cleared, you get out to the practice field. The earliest that could be, based on protocol, would be Friday. So Drew Lock will have to prepare as if he will start because the biggest install days are obviously Wednesday and Thursday. But it's not out of the question. I saw Teddy Bridgewater after the game with his family on the field. So that's a good sign, but I'm not a doctor either, and he has to be cleared. He got hit yesterday 5 times, including 3 just vicious hits. I can't imagine there won't be a fine on the hit that knocked him out of the game. And, Drew came in and he shows athleticism, but, their offense in general was just horrible. I mean, they punted 10 times. Now, that's the high in the NFL for any team this season. They had 12 drives, punted 10 times, had an interception. Come on. You can't win that way. Offensive line was leaky. So, yeah, it's troublesome, but Teddy still has a chance to play, Mark. It's just going to be a bit of a race against the clock.
Okay, I guess just I apologize for my ignorance on the matter then. Why Friday at the earliest? Why couldn't he theoretically be looked at Wednesday and be cleared?
It's just because there's steps in the process you have to clear. You can't clear like 3 steps in one day. Once you enter the protocol after a game, it changes. Like you see guys being evaluated for a concussion and then return to a game. That was because it was determined they did not have a concussion. Once you go into concussion protocol, it's been diagnosed that you have a concussion. And once that happens, it's a stair-step process to return. And this does protect the players. I mean, I'm not going to say the league is looking to protect its players, but in the case of a concussion protocol, you take baseline tests before the year. You have to do mental tests. You have to do physical tests. It's all the stuff that, sensitivity to light, how your body responds the next day. And they create it as a stair-step process so you don't rush back and go, okay, today I feel great. And then Wednesday, you show up to work, man, I feel a little dizzy again, or, I'm sensitive to light. So it's all a stair-step process. That's why the way it's set up, the earliest he could practice would be Friday.
Walk me through the mindset of Pat Shurmur when you're averaging 6.5 yards a carry and you're playing a backup quarterback and you get 4 handoffs in a game in 21 attempts, 37 total attempts versus 16 carries for your backs. What's your mindset there? I just don't understand that.
Chasing points, losing perspective on who you are as a team. You get behind and you start seeing it as we're behind, we've got to throw, but that doesn't match your personnel, frankly. And you're asking a backup quarterback in Locke who looked every bit of a backup because, he hadn't practiced with the first team in about a month. There's very few reps during the week for backups. It's by design as you get guys ready for a game. So to take you through it, they just lost perspective. And once they got behind 17-7, then they're chasing points. And the way you chase points in the NFL is to throw the football. But when you go 3 wide and you expose your line and that type of pressure, Locke was sacked 3 times. It was just a mess, Mark. They just got away from who they are. The one thing they did well yesterday was run the football. But from the second they scored that touchdown, their offense went off the rails in both allowing pressure on the quarterback, losing their identity, and trying to be a pass-first team. The Ravens just literally jumbled their minds yesterday and took them completely out of character and embarrassed them, frankly. Defensively, the Ravens embarrassed and smothered them.
So they're 3-1, but why does this loss feel like more than just one game?
Well, it's because they had a chance for legitimacy. And in the past few years, anytime they've had a big game, they've just absolutely laid an egg. Kansas City a couple of years ago with Flacco comes to mind where they had a chance to crawl back into contention. And that's the bigger part is they hadn't played anyone of note. They had won by double digits, and they had played the schedule in front of them. But all of a sudden you play a good team, and it's at home. If this had been on the road, it's been a little more understandable. You get on the road, you get behind, the crowd gets in it, and it just spirals. To play that way, the way they did offensively at home was a bit shocking. It was as if they just didn't have any answers. But why is it concerning? Is because now the schedule gets tough. Now they're an underdog at Pittsburgh. They went from a favorite to an underdog. I don't know if they'll be favored against the Raiders. I mean, the Raiders could be undefeated coming in here. And then you go to Cleveland, where I guarantee you they won't be favored. So they need to find a way to survive. In seasons, you find ways to survive, and that for them would be going 2-2 in this stretch. You're 5-2, and then the schedule lightens up again, and it clears out, and everything's still in front of you. And that's what my message to the team would be. We were terrible yesterday. Everything is still in front of us. We're 3-1. It's 1 loss. It was horrible, and it was embarrassing. It's still 1 loss, and they have the 3 games coming up. They got to go to work and roll up the sleeves.
Yeah, I think it's a good message. There's no question. Real quick, on the baseball front, Bill Schmidt being announced as the general manager. Again, just a lack of the Rockies want to leave the organization to change things up, to shake things up. What's your overall takeaway on him being the going from interim to full-time GM?
Yeah, 0 surprise. It was going to happen the moment he was made interim. And the issue with the Rockies, they're insular. They do everything in a vacuum. They see their way as the only way. And once they made Greg Fiesel president of baseball operations, someone with no baseball experience, he's a business guy. He was Kelly McGregor's right-hand man as a business guy. He had nothing to do with the baseball side. Once you made it to where a new GM would have to report to Fiesel, the candidate poll went to about 0 at that point. Because no one that's in the game is going to report to someone that they don't feel is experienced on the baseball side. So that's a problem. And you're already dealing with now an owner who still kind of operates as in the shadows as the pseudo GM. So you're dealing with Greg Fiesel and Monfort wanting some control over the baseball side of it. The only person you're going to get is who? Someone who's worked there for 20-plus years, who's failed upward, in my opinion. That's nothing against Bill Schmidt, but he could have been fired multiple times for his drafts, and now he's the GM. And can he do things differently? Perhaps, but what the problem fans have with it, because I've lived it, so I'm not surprised, is you said you were going to do a big search. We're going to have a search. We're going to look for a replacement, and they're like, oh, look at the job he did. We've got to hire him. Based on what? Being one of the worst road teams in the history of Major League Baseball for 5 months, based on another 70-some win season? That's an obvious sign you have to keep the guy in charge? I mean, if that's not aspiring to mediocrity, I don't know what is. So it's frustrating for fans. I understand it, but I am not surprised at all because of the way their infrastructure is set up. People externally just see it as a tough place to have your ideas trusted and implemented because it's just not normal the way they have it set up now.
Oh, well, we don't have to pay attention to them again until March. So thank you, Troy.
Yep.
Troy Rank, our Denver 7 Broncos insider, presented by ROX Rocks Heating and Air. Because you know they're not going to do anything during the offseason. I mean, how much free agent money have they spent over the last 2 off seasons? Like $10?
Well, they spent it all previously, and they had to, spend it to send people to go away.
Correct.
So
that's true. They did spend $50 million to send Nolan away. Ugh. All right.
But you can watch Nolan in a wild card game.
Yes, you can. How about the Dodgers? You win 106 games. 106 games. And your reward is to play a 1-game winner-take-all, anything-can-happen game against the Red Hot Cardinals. And, if you win that, now you get to go play the Giants.
That is ridiculous. 106 games. That's ridiculous.
Well,
man.
Yes, but no, because it wasn't that long ago that the Dodgers could have won 106 games and not had any playoffs before the wild card.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
I mean, there have been plenty of examples in the past where teams have won 100 games and
didn't get in.
Thanks for playing.
That
was a good 162, wasn't it?
By the way, the 1-game play-in, something's got to give. The 1-game play-in in a game where it's all about series, and you get 1-game play-ins.
Good point here from George. You can tell how disappointed Rockies fans are when they're number 7 in attendance this year.
Right.
When Troy said, I get why Rockies fans are frustrated. Are they? Are they really?
Right.
They keep going. 7th in attendance. Business is good down there on 20th and Blake.
Yeah, business. I wonder.
Are they really frustrated?
I wonder.
Rockies fans, are you frustrated?
What are the top 6 in front of the Rockies, and are they all playoff kind of contending teams? Who outdraws?
Benny, can you take a look at that while we're chatting here?
Yeah, who out?
No.
Who are the top drawing teams?
I don't want to take up time, efforting music for Rockies related questions. Just when you get a chance, let me know. We'll pass that along.
I mean, the Cardinals have to be in there, don't they? Like the standard, the Cardinals.
Yeah, Cardinals, Dodgers,
the Yankees.
Yeah.
Bo Sox.
Probably. All right. This is KKFN HD1 Longmont, Denver.
Hey, it's Mike Evans. Siltahar Motors understands sometimes bad things happen to good people. That includes bankruptcy. If that is you, you can still purchase a car at Siltahar with zero money down in almost all cases. This is a program they've been doing for 25 years. The dealership itself is almost 60. Family-owned business that is proud of their reputation and proud to be a huge part of the Broomfield community. If you file bankruptcy, Siltahar Motors can help. Zero down and no payments for 45 days in almost all cases. Contact Team Zero Down at 720-446-9222 or online at sthmotors.com.